Hi everyone, and welcome to Yoshi and Lucy Knits. My name is Denise, and I felt like sitting down and doing a video going over my knitting plans for this year. I'm usually a moon knitter, so I just tend to cast on whatever project I feel like knitting at the time, but lately I've been trying to plan out more of my knitting. I want to see how that goes for this year, and because I want to tackle some projects for some gifts, and as well as I want to expand my knitting skills, not just do what I find comforting, but to actually develop my skills and tackle some things I've never like done before. So I made a list about like nine projects I want to complete this year. The first one is the Pebble Tunic by Johi Locatelli, and it's a DK weight sweater with two pockets on the bottom. And I want to knit this because I was looking for a long sweater that I can wear with leggings, and Johi is one of my favorite designers, so I decided to go with that. And I dyed some yarn to go with it. This is a medium gray, and it's lightly speckled with some copper tones and some aqua. And that would be nice little details on that sweater. It's right now I don't have a name for this colorway, but I did dye this up as a set for the Frank shawl, which is also in the shop right now. So yeah, I'm excited to cast that on. The second pattern I want to knit this year is the Bubble V Crop by Jessie Maid, and I finished knitting a sweater of hers in January, which is like the ripple crop top, and I really like the fit and the design of that. And I like this sweater pattern because I really like the neckline, the balloon sleeves, and the contrasting color on the neckline and on the bottom. So that I think that's also a DK sweater. So as for colors, I'm thinking of doing this color combination. So the copper color, which is Penny, will be the contrast for the main body. And I think that would be a good color combo. And that should be a really nice sample for my yarn. So this year I also want to work on improving my color work skills. I have knit color work in the past. I knit a pair of mittens and a hat for myself, but the hat was too snug on my head because I think my tension was off. I don't know how to knit with both hands when doing color work, so I did, I'm a thrower, so I did English style, and then I would just drop one string and pick up the other one, and my tension was probably off because of that. So I want to practice more on color work, so I'm probably gonna watch some videos and get some tips. So the first color work pattern I want to try is Vermont Finest by Meg Hartland, which is the Beanie mittens. I'm sure everybody knows that last year during the inauguration, Bernie Sanders was wearing a pair of mittens, and it became viral, that photo of him sitting in the chair. So I just kind of want a pair for myself, and someone nicely made someone nicely charted that design, the ferrule design, and I'm gonna try knitting those for myself. The fourth pattern is Weekends at Bernie's Beanie, which is also based on that pattern, but it's in a hat form. So I think that would be cool to have the mittens and the hat to go along with it as a matching set. So the fifth pattern I would like to knit this year is the Weekender by Andrea Mowry. So I've never knit Andrea Mowry pattern before, and she's extremely popular. And as I was looking through her patterns, I really gravitated toward the Weekender because I really like the bow neck design of the neckline, and I really like the slip stitch detail that runs through the front of the sweater, and I like the length of it, and it's a worsted weight sweater, so it looks pretty cozy to me. And from what other people have knitted, I think it's a pretty popular pattern right now. Not sure what colorway I'm gonna do it in. I might dye a new colorway just for that. I'll see once I get to that, when I get to that project. So the sixth pattern I want to knit this year is the modular inlay wrap by Stephen West. Stephen West is also another designer I've never knit before. Again, he's extremely popular. His patterns tend to intimidate me somewhat because he likes to do all these crazy design elements, and usually his patterns require like 10 different colorways or something like that, and I just get overwhelmed, and I don't want to I don't want to tackle that right now. But this wrap is just pretty much a garter wrap, and you just pick up the stitches in each panel, and so you start at the center and then you slowly grow out the shawl, and I think that would look cool as my first Stephen West pattern. He says that you can use either scrap yarn or a mixture of scrap yarn and full skein, so I'll decide on that once I get to it. But I am excited to finally knit a Stephen West pattern because I think it's about time. Another thing I want to spend time on is to do some more children's knits. So I have a 20-month-old nephew, and I'm knitting him a sweater right now, and I'm probably gonna knit him like a hat soon. And also my friend has kids as well. She has an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I haven't knit anything for the 8-year-old in years, and the 4-year-old I have never knit anything for her. So the first pattern I'm going to knit is for the 4-year-old, and it's the Antler Pullover by Tin Can Knits, and it's just a basic raglan sweater. It's just a basic sweater knit from the bottom up with a really nice cable detail on the neckline. And I dyed a colorway for it, and then once I finished dyeing it and then it was dry, I noticed that it looked kind of like another colorway I already have. So her favorite color is pink, so I decided to dye this colorway, which is like, you know, pink, and then it's speckled with pink and yellow. And it's very similar to another color I have, but this is like maybe like a more intense version of it. Not more intense. This is a less intense version of that. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna dye this to sell or it's just gonna be like a one-of-a-kind colorway. So this is gonna be knit on worsted, and it should knit up pretty quickly for a 4-year-old. And for her older sister, I'm gonna knit the Love Note sweater by Tin Can Knits. That one was pretty popular when it came out. And her favorite color is teal, so I'm gonna dye up like a teal colorway for her once I get to that. And I really like the lace detail on the front, on the top, and how it goes into the sleeve. So I think that's a pretty cool design element. My 9th pattern I want to make this year is kind of a surprise. So it's not actually knitting, it's crochet. And I've never crocheted before. I think one time I tried to make like a granny square and then I just stopped. But I recently learned about temperature blankets. Those are blankets where you have a color palette and you have a range of temperatures, and depending on the temperature of that day, you knit a certain color. So if it's like, you know, if that day it was 95 degrees and the range is from 90 to 100, and that maybe that day the color is red. So you crochet red into your blanket. So I hope that makes sense. But everybody can pick your own color palette and your own temperature range basing on where you live. And then every day, so people like to crochet like a year-long blanket. So every day they stitch a certain section in their blanket. So I first saw this on Instagram, and the pattern I want to do is the linen square temperature blanket by Tony Lipsky, and she's a crochet designer and has made videos about temperature blankets. And I like that this this blanket is essentially 12 squares, 1 square for each month. And so you can crochet them individually, and then at the end of the year you stitch them all together and you make a border. So I've thought about it, and instead of making like a blanket for this year, I want to make a blanket for my birth year. So there's a website that documents historical weather, and you can look up the weather. I think the website is for the United States, so you can look up any zip code and any day for as long as they've been tracking the weather, and it tells you the temperature for that day. So I don't want to do like this year because I'm afraid that at some point I'm gonna get behind, because people tend to crochet it either like the end of the week or the end of the month, and I don't want it to be like an obligation that I have to crochet this every month. So once I feel like it, I'll crochet a square, right? And then once I finish the 12 squares, then I'm done and I can stitch them together. So it's possible that I can finish this like before the end of the year. So and as I was looking at yarn, like yarn suggestions out, and then trying to pick out a color palette, I was just thinking like, why don't I just like dye my own color palette, and that way that it would be more personal, because it would be colors that I made on my yarn, and the blanket would be my birth year. So I don't think it can get any more personal than that. So I haven't decided what colors I'm dyeing yet, but I think that's going to be part of the fun, is trying to figure out my palette, and also learning how to crochet, because I don't know. And I don't know how to. I think the only thing I remember is how to chain crochet, so that's like casting on and knitting, but that's about it. So that's gonna be like a nice project, and something different from like the usual stuff I'm doing. So, and then I don't know, maybe I will cast on like a a granny square blanket, or one of those scrap crochet blankets that you see everybody do. I think those are cool looking, but I don't crochet, so I never made one for myself. So okay, so I think I talked enough. So those are the 9 patterns I want to make this year, and I'm excited to tackle that. So I will be back with a regular podcast schedule probably next week. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.